how about checks coming to you, a check? What are you thinking? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it would be pretty sweet. I feel like I'm not desperately needing it like some other people. So part of me is like not guilty because, it's not like we're making very much. So I don't think we should feel guilty per se. But I'm just thinking about how I'll probably just save all of that into my emergency fund so that if something like this happens again in the future and my scholarship doesn't come in, then it would be my emergency, basically housing, because that's like the most immediate need that I need to pay for. But yeah, I would not be opposed to some extra money.
Yeah, I'd say pretty similar reaction from me as well. Um, I've got I've been trying to do my budgeting not based on any assumption of a stimulus check coming to me. If it does, that's just kind of an extra bonus for me. But I mean, I think that it'll make a big difference for a number of people who don't have quite as much of an emergency fund saved up, especially ones who aren't going to be getting summer funding, who were planning on doing field work.
I mean, yeah, really same reaction here. It's very nice to have. I think I'll probably save it. I feel that I should donate a bit of it, given that I have not been affected in the same way that so many people have. But yeah, I did not expect it to arrive this quickly. I mean, they're saying 3 weeks. That would be cool if that happened. But yeah, I was like, seriously? But yeah, good to have. I think it'll just go straight into savings. And yeah.
Another thought to echo, Hallie mentioned donating. I feel like recently I found myself having a lot of time, obviously spent indoors, and I can't spend, 12 hours a day doing research. I would just go nuts, and my productivity is like lower than it would normally be, I think, just because of everything going on. But I was reading the local newspaper yesterday, and in our community, volunteers are needed to help food distribution. So this is like through the food bank. And so I just reached out to them and said, I probably have 2 hours a week I could spend distributing food. And I think there are different levels of how much contact you have with people. So I think one of the roles is just like driving bags around in your car and dropping it off to elderly people. And so I feel like now that I'm not spending time commuting, for example, I could volunteer a little bit to help out the local community. So just kind of thinking about like donations, both financially, but also in terms of our time as grad students, if we find that we like need an excuse to get out the house. For example, in California, we're really not supposed to get out other than to maybe exercise and go to the grocery store or pharmacy. So this would be like an excuse like, oh, well, I can get out of my house to volunteer a little bit. So just a side note.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I've been thinking about it. I don't have a car, but then I was reading something about people with bikes, which I do have. So maybe I could get on that, do some exercise and run around a bit. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, I know at Penn State there was a couple of forms circulating around of people could fill out help that they were either offering or in need of, whether that's rides to the grocery store or people picking up medicine when they're sick, that sort of thing. Yeah, I filled that out. I haven't heard anything from them, which I hope means that they have more helpers than people who need help. But yeah, it's been nice to see that enough people are generally trying to rally around and provide help to those who need it.
I'm so glad to hear you all are charitably inclined. I feel I have no capacity to do anything for anybody outside of my family right now, having lost our childcare several weeks ago. So I'm glad other people can be helping their neighbors because my neighbors are not getting help from me. Aside from, I also was thinking about donating, not necessarily like stimulus check money, but just extra donations we could do around this time, because I read that May is a more likely timeline for actually receiving the money. And I feel like we've already received from a couple of the like nonprofits we have like memberships with and stuff here locally that like they're like really hurting right now. And so I haven't done it yet, so I don't want to give myself credit, but like I feel like we could spare some money right now. We have plenty of cash on hand, and then refill that when the stimulus money comes in. But yeah, thank you so much for that suggestion, Natasha. I think it is a really specifically what you're like thinking about doing, delivering food. It seems like a really good use of time, right? And like you said, if you're stuck in the house, like what else are you gonna do? And maybe you won't be interacting with people face to face. Hopefully, not interacting with people face to face, but you can see a little different, pockets of your community than you're used to seeing. We also are under currently basically the same thing as shelter effect in California. It's a stay-at-home order, so we also are not supposed to leave except for necessary errands and exercising, which, as I said, is kind of hit and miss in Seattle right now.